this girl I follow today posted a thirst trap picture of her husband, and she's like, bro, he cooks for me every night and he eats booty too. I was like, oh, that's so hot.
Yes. Is it like one of those like good looking couples like us?
Yeah. Almost better looking.
Almost.
It's that girl Marie D. I really like her. She's in the MILF group that I'm a part of now.
Oh, cool.
Supposed to collab with some MILFs.
Nice. All right, you ready to start?
Yes.
Or did we start?
I don't know.
Ain't cutting that out. All right. Welcome back to Talking Bears, episode
176.
176.
Welcome back to Talking Bears.
Oh man, I can't believe we've done this many episodes so far.
I know. It only seems like a few. 3 years have just flown by. Am I right?
Yeah. So okay, let's before we jump right into the episode, Talking Bears, we talk specifically, I guess, about the podcast, Two Bears, One Cave. But I guess we can
we do.
encapsulate the whole YMH, Bert, Tom, all that. Even if there's something good that they post on IG or something, obviously we can talk about that. Which leads to, I don't know if you saw it, but did you see Bert's pizza oven stories?
Yes, with his dad laughing.
And that was so awesome to me. I loved every bit of it. I must have watched it like a couple times. First, because we barbecue pizzas too. We put them on our smoker. We don't have that like kind of fancy oven that he had.
We've had identical mishaps.
Yeah, where it sticks to the thing because you don't put enough flour on it. There's all kinds of things that you have to perfect cooking pizza outdoors. I mean, but once you get it down,
much like eating booty, cooking pizza outdoors is a science.
It's a science. There's a certain
it's precise.
Je ne sais quoi.
Finesse. Go on.
Yes. So anyway, yeah, they had their mishaps, but once you get it down, like you'll never like order pizza out again or even like go to a restaurant for pizza.
That's a lie because I've ordered pizza so many times since then.
If you had a husband that would cook all the time for you and eat booty, you would never order pizza again.
Every night.
So I don't know. So I'm watching the things. I don't know if you felt the same thing. Maybe it's because I'm a dude in like relationships with fathers type thing. But like I feel happy for Bert in his relationship with his father, because from how he describes growing up, it seemed like he had a good relationship with his father. His father would call him buddy and to give him advice and stuff like that. But there was also that, like, when he got his teeth knocked out and his dad made him go back out and play baseball, and it was just like maybe a little bit hard on him. And if you saw even the way he's depicted in the Machine preview, the movie, the Machine preview, how his dad's at the birthday party talking about, you paid money to go see my son tell that made up story. Like, so his dad like seemed like he's trying to. So all that to say is to watch them two in a backyard, cooking pizza and smoking cigars, and him looking at it.
Bert has this beautiful house.
Yes,
awesome life now, and
a great family, and a beautiful wife, and seeing all that, just knowing that his dad is like, fuck yeah. And just knowing also that Bert is like, fuck yeah, I proved it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I proved
You thought
it.
I stayed at college for too long. You thought I was a fuck up at this point or that point. But look at me now. Yeah.
And you thought me shitting in a pizza box was bad. Look at me now. So I don't know. So watching a story like that, I don't know. I really felt that it was like something cool. Like every son wants to do that for their father. And maybe not every son, but majority of sons like just want to prove something to their father. And maybe I see a little bit of that in Bert. Like, and it was just cool watching those stories and watching his dad just be so happy and them just giggling. And he put stories up of him coming up on stage and those big, big arena shows. And it's just cool to see that, like, oh man, his dad must be so proud of him.
I love it. I felt the same. I watched those over a couple times. It's interesting because your dad lives with us.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm always, and I don't hear you talk a lot about how that makes you feel. I don't know. It's cool to hear you talk about the father-son relationship because it is so important, so poignant.
Yeah, no, I mean, you know me, my feelings I don't really wear on my sleeve, if that's the term. So
indeed, you don't.
But I do look at that father. I get really envious of father-son relationships where there's advice giving. You know what I mean? From the older to the younger. Sometimes with my dad, I feel like sometimes I'm giving him too much advice. And I want it the other way around. Yeah. But lately he's, not to go into my family life, nobody wants to hear, but lately he's been given some good advice to me and stuff like that. So I appreciate it and I dig it. But anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up is Bert's Pizza Oven, and those are great stories, and just seeing him in his backyard with his family, taking a break from touring.
He is so brilliant with the way that he has leveraged his social media and just how he is so authentic and lets people know him as he is and see behind the scenes, see his family.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was funny. I won't get too far ahead of ourselves in this episode, but I thought it was funny to hear David Cross say, "Oh, I'm thinking about starting a podcast." He is so... you can't be late to the game on a podcast.
No,
obviously, we just started one.
Yeah.
But it's so funny that, I mean, Bert and Tom were so smart in that. And I know that they credit Joe Rogan with a lot of getting into podcasting and realizing how big it was going to be. But it's just like, it's cool to see from a comedian who you think is so established, has done everything, Mr. Show, Arrested Development. You think he's brilliant in what he does, and he is, but he's kind of missed this huge connection with his audience that he could have had through COVID over the last few years. So anyway, it was a cool juxtaposition with Bert and Tom, how they put themselves out there and make themselves available. Yeah. Have built this brand.
They obviously they've talked about that, like you said, because Joe Rogan and, Bert with the Travel Channel, you need to do this, you need to stop doing this, start doing your stand-up podcast, we'll get you going and stuff like that. Yeah, it was really smart. David Cross probably, he's really successful with his shows and he's a smart dude. Yeah, I hope his podcast does good. I found interesting, this is kind of towards the end of the episode, but we'll just touch on it now, is how he's talked about Bert helping him out when he did Bert's podcast. And he goes, he talked to Bert beforehand, talked to Bert for 2 hours during the show, and then they stood in the driveway for 30 minutes. And that's something I would do. Like, I talk to people, and when it's over and they're going home, we're always in the driveway for 30 more minutes talking. So I mean, I can picture that conversation in my head, and because Bert he's been a nice guy when we met him. He's he is who you see. This is his bottom line. He was given so much advice and do this, do that, and same thing. It's kind of reciprocating what was given to him. But, but okay, so starting out the episode, when I woke up this morning, I immediately said to you, I'm like, "Did you see who was on the episode today?" And we were both excited it was David Cross because we both like him for different reasons and the same reasons. I love him from Arrested Development and Todd Margaret. What the full name of the show? Now it's slipping me. The Adventures. Is it the Misadventures of Todd?
There's something more to it.
There's more, but we just always call it Todd Margaret. Todd Margaret. But the full name is. This will take 2 seconds to Google. I should have had the crew over there Google it and put it up on our screen, but they're busy right now.
Did we do no prep work? Are we just an awful radio show?
Yeah, the increasingly poor decisions of Todd Margaret. It is a British show, and it is fucking awesome.
So brilliant.
So anyway, they started out the show, and they touched on who you take on the road with you, which I always thought was interesting, how comics pick that.
I was going to ask you that too, and they said right off the bat, it's a good hang, which I think we kind of knew or guessed. they have to kind of match your comedic style, but they have to be also somebody that you could bear to be on the road with.
Yeah, because you're with them all the time.
Yeah.
I know one of them, I can't remember who, if it was Bert or Tom, or somebody used to say they used to like think it was a good idea they basically just traveled by themselves, and they would find the local person in that town to open for them. And they thought, oh, I'm giving them a chance. But then they were like, fuck that. Like, if I'm on the road, I got to have fun. I might as well bring people that I like, you know what I mean? And, you know, you just show up in each city and there's always somebody new and you never really get to know them and stuff like that. So, obviously it shows with Bert. You know, you have Dave Williamson that's always with him, who's obviously a really cool dude, funny comedian.
He's hilarious. He's so nice in
super,
person.
Super nice in person.
Insanely good cook.
Mm-hmm. And a good cook. Like, I guess if you were given like star ratings for somebody to travel with you, like he's 5-star.
Oh, for sure.
Like Dave Williamson should always be with you. Dave Williamson obviously can also progress. Like, you never know, he could be headlining on big tours one day or whatever. But
we saw him as a headliner, and we were lucky enough to talk to him afterwards, and we're like, man, you're way better. Like, for an hour you're great. Way better than you are as an opener, and that's really saying something, because we love you as an opener.
He was really good. So I think Bert's crew, you could tell he has fun with, and he picks based on that. I'm trying to remember when we saw Tom here in town, who opened for him
perfectly. Shoot.
Oh, you can remember.
I can remember.
Is that what perfectly looks like?
I can picture his face.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, he was kind of like a chubbier dude, long curly hair, or no? Like did he talk about tornadoes or something like that?
Yes. I'm thinking of the guy with darker hair.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get there.
Yeah, you're not going to get his name.
Embarrass myself.
Yeah. I still remember when we saw Bill Burr.
Walsh, no.
Yeah, I still remember when we saw Bill Burr here in town when he filmed his special here and his opener here. And I still don't know his name, and I wish I could. I tried Googling it, whatever, could never find it. But his opener here was hilarious.
Yeah.
He kind of looked like the dude from Impractical Jokers, Q. Yeah, Quinn was it? Quinn, like kind of like and he was awesome. But openers are important. They have to be funny, and on the other side for the comedian, they have to be good hangs.
Yeah, they have to be cool.
Yeah. So, who would be if you went on the road right now just for an ASMR act?
I was gonna ask you, who would you take on the road?
I'd beat you to it. Who are you taking with you?
Ooh. That's hard. That's hard to say because I haven't hung out in person with anyone.
That's all right. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You haven't. It doesn't matter. Just pick. You know, it doesn't. You don't have to met them or whatever. Just think who you think would be good.
Yeah. Diddley ASMR.
Really?
Based on her Twitter, yeah.
Is that the Australian girl?
Yes.
Oh no! All right.
She's
for like
spicy.
an ASMR show, you think you'd have fun with her and hang out?
I think I'd have fun with her.
That's cool. I'm letting you lead. No, for once, I was just staring at you. What's that?
Who would you take on the road with you? What kind of show? Are
you
doing comedy?
I'm not stupid. I'd take you because I'm a good spouse.
Because there's no better hang than you.
There's no better hang than you. So that is the correct answer. And you would go off with some other
good
ASMR
partners
girl.
on Talking Bears, and some of us are shit. And it's revealed itself.
Yep. So, I'm sorry.
Moving along, do you agree that cranberries are a complete fallacy? By far the worst part of Thanksgiving dinner.
They're awful. They're awful. And I knew that you would be like, this is horrible. Cranberries are good. I don't know what you're talking about.
I love how they were just mocking people like, oh, people pretend like, oh, did you see the special treat? Cranberries.
Oh, it's so gross. People at Thanksgiving treat cranberries like it's like, yummy. It's like a dessert. I'm like, no, it's
Who
gross.
even needs pumpkin pie?
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm not a cranberry person. God bless you if you like them. I don't like to tease people if they don't like them, but no.
It's my favorite part of Thanksgiving.
I know
dinner.
it is.
I'm losing you. I'm losing everyone right now.
Yeah, it's bad. I would like to see a poll on what people think about that, but I was 100% on board with them.
It has to be 70-30 of people that think cranberries are a complete joke.
Really?
Yeah.
That's oddly specific, 70-30.
Don't you think?
Yeah. No.
A very vocal 30% of people are like,
I would have said
ooh,
more people like
cranberries,
it.
I've waited all year.
I would have said more people like it.
60-40.
I think there's an IG poll coming out.
Here we go.
IG poll. So when they were talking about taking the people on the road, and David Cross, when they're saying, "Oh, you got to be able to hang with the people," and David Cross made the joke is like, I don't hang with the help. I don't eat sup with them. I don't eat dinner.
They taste my food.
They taste my food.
It's
yes.
good for me.
And Tom giggled so much because that hit his funny bone.
Yes.
His jokes about like the pores and stuff like that. And that to me is the funniest bit Tom has going. I don't know about you. Like,
100%.
Yes.
We laugh at that so much. And I know some people are triggered by that. I've shared bits of Tom's where he talks about the pores, and I've had people DM me and be like, I don't know why you would think that's funny. Like, I wouldn't say it, but that is funny shit. God, it really hit. I don't know why.
I know why. Okay, so this is just the way I look at it, and I think I'm right on this. The joke is not the making fun of poor people. The joke is the reaction of people that are mad about him making fun of poor people. That's the joke, and that's what people don't get. Yes. And they're playing right into it.
I think you're right.
And it is the funniest thing. It is
you're right.
Because he says it so seriously. And so Tom Segura, I've never met him, probably never will meet him. There's zero chance he would walk up to a poor person and be like, "You're poor, fuck you." Like, it's not a thing that people do.
That's not what the bit is at
The bit
all.
is the fact that people get mad. He's fucking with people.
Yes.
He's just like when they talked about that. Was it Brendan Walsh or Brandon Walsh? I'm not familiar with the comedian, the guy that was doing the pranks.
Brendan Walsh.
Brandon Walsh. Okay, well, sorry if we're saying the name wrong or whatever, but it's the same thing. He's just fucking with people.
It's the same as just making up complete lies to radio hosts. And I loved how tickled Bert was. There were a couple specific times, but he almost hit a Bert-like level of squealing where he went really high pitched because he was just so tickled by the interactions with David Cross.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
Well, it all had to do with fucking with people. That's when he was laughing the hardest.
Yes.
Tom has obviously a sick mind, just basically by like the videos he laughs at and stuff like that. And I wrote down when I was listening to it that I would have loved to I not know him personally, but I'm trying to figure out the way to say this. I would have loved to see what he was like behind the scenes when he had to play the game. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I almost felt like you got a little peek into this and you could see why he had to go all in on his own brand, if that makes sense. He literally couldn't play the game. Because he talks about having this, series of commercials that were going to be life-changing and he just couldn't. I mean, it's not his fault that management shifted and he got fired from it, but he was probably going to get fired anyways just from talking shit to the director.
Yes, exactly.
He literally couldn't adapt. He was just so,
100%.
So sarcastic.
100%. Yeah. I would love to see, and it's so cool that he's so successful now that he doesn't have to deal with that shit. But just like watching his interactions. Sorry. Just watching his interactions during that time just would have been priceless. Because he still had the same mindset, but he still had to be like, God, I'm going to do this.
He didn't have the empire to back it up. He shouldn't have been shit-talking directors on the biggest break of his life, but he still did.
He was kind of true to himself.
Yeah, I was getting tickled for some reason by the club sending him to radio interviews and telling him, you need to do this, it's good for the club, and then him knowing his show was already sold out and just like doing his DJ character, being like, I don't even think about my stand-up anymore. It's all about the music for me.
You've seen those videos, right?
So funny. No,
Oh, they're so great. Yeah, they're so great.
I've heard like a clip. I need to go back and dig through some old videos.
It's good, and I'm so happy that
so
he's able to do that. You know, he's untouchable basically.
Yeah,
which is so cool. But he kind of had that untouchable mindset back then, but he still had to kind of incorporated it with doing the thing you were supposed to do.
Yeah.
But his stories he tells, you could see or even hear that inner Tom that you see today was trying to just bust out. It was just trying to bust out, and then finally it did. When he hit a certain point, he's like, all right, the world's mine, I'm doing
some
this
people
now.
would swallow that down, man. It's honestly kudos to him for being like, this is who I fucking am. I'm gonna burn some bridges, but I know I'm gonna make it big anyways.
You would swallow it down, right? Like in
yeah. Like in a glug sense or what?
Oh my God, why is everything sexual with you? I was just talking about in a career, and Jesus, baby, gosh.
Oh my gosh.
I was just walking into that.
I play by the rules. I'm such a rule follower.
Oh my God,
I'm so polite.
You're like
in
our
every
son.
situation. I wish I had any ounce of Tom's energy to be like, oh, is this the first thing you've directed? Do you think you should learn about directing a little?
Oh, that's so great.
Two of the times when I heard Tom go really high pitched were the turtle soup clip.
Oh man.
Sharing pizza. Shared from Subway, and it went so dark, but it was so funny.
It was uncomfortable comedy at that point. When they started talking about,
Tom was enjoying it so much. Yeah. Like that's like young come on pizza is just like that's what he wants.
It was again, I think the reason Tom was laughing at that stuff, and they're not laughing, they're laughing knowing that in 4 weeks when this airs, how many people are gonna be uncomfortable about them talking about that.
That is what's funny. It really, that's what's funny.
Because there's nothing
about it.
well, there's nothing like funny about pedophilia, like in the but when you dissect it and people are getting upset, and that's what makes it funny. It's like, okay, well that's why they're professional comedians.
It's funny that he was in a set of commercials with Jared from like it's really funny.
I know. And the fact that he had to be the unhealthy one. Jared's like, eat our low fat turkey sub. And Tom had to be like, try this meatball, you fat piece of shit. Give it to him.
Honestly,
add pepperoni to your meatball and mayonnaise so you can add a couple pounds. Fat turd. I thought that was a great concept. And how about the names when he had to approach the names because his name was Jerome? He's like, guys, I think that's a black name. No, it isn't.
They had to take it to a focus group,
Yeah,
and they're like, "Oh, we do think that's mostly probably a black name."
That's some Silicon Valley shit. Like when you watch that TV show Silicon Valley, like how they take everything to focus groups, and like, what do you think, Bob, Tom, Tammy, Samantha? That's what it reminded me of. So, or whatever they went to get that thing, and then they changed the name to Jermaine. And David Cross started laughing. He's like, is that real? Did they really change your name from Jerome to Jermaine?
Gosh.
Oh, that was such a funny part.
David Cross just busted into an accent. Like, it's just
okay. I was going to ask you that. That was him talking? Yes. I thought they were playing a clip of something.
No, I'm just sure that was him.
Because, Tom started laughing.
I listened and didn't watch the video, but I'm sure by how tickled Tom was that David Cross just came out with an insane accent right then.
Yes.
Gosh, he's so good. I mean, I think I've watched more. I think you've watched more Todd Margaret, and I've watched more Mr. Show than you have. But he is brilliant. Yeah.
There is I love when they talk the behind the scenes on how they Bob Odenkirk on Mr. Show was like knew how to write because of SNL, David Cross, and they kind of made the perfect team.
Yeah.
There was a story I think Bob Odenkirk told on a podcast. It might have been like, I don't know, I forgot what podcast it was. Excuse me. he was with a big director like Steven Spielberg. God, somebody would in the comments, or somebody, hopefully, if anybody listens this long, to tell me what it was. But Bob Odenkirk was with like Steven Spielberg movie, and David Cross was in it too, and they were in a scene together, and the director, I'm gonna say it's Spielberg, maybe it's not, but it was a big name director, like maybe James Cameron or something. But the director was noticing all these people kind of like fanboying over them too, and he had to like pull one aside and be like, is there something I don't know about here? Should you guys not be in a scene? Like, he didn't know if he was putting two people that like did something else that wasn't appropriate.
That
like
people were giggling.
Yeah, he had no
it.
idea about Mr. Show or anything. But like some of the crew were like, I can't believe these two are in a scene together. You know, like that type of thing.
Oh, it's so great.
I have to look that up. But I thought that was funny. I've watched Todd Margaret. The beginning of Todd Margaret is some of the funniest things, where he's like, if anybody doesn't know the premise, like in the very beginning, he works for a company that sells like energy drinks, and they want to sell them like over in England, over in the UK. So this boss, what's the boss? Will Arnett? I've been, it's been so many years.
It's been like 10 years.
I think so. I think the boss was Will Arnett. But anyway, Todd Margaret, David Cross, is in a closet at work, like doing like self-help tapes where you have to repeat like after, like you listen on the headphones or whatever, like now repeat after me. I am a good person. I am a strong person. And like, you know, doing all, so he's like yelling and screaming, and the boss hears him like being really assertive, and he's like, that's the man for the job. And he sends him over to the United Kingdom,
to the
like,
UK headquarters.
and he's obviously the worst person to do the job, you know. And then he ends up being with the kid from the In-Betweeners, which is another great British series. You know, kind of like a super bad type
I'm so
sitcom.
glad I got you to watch the In-Betweeners. That was a really
You didn't get me to
satisfying
watch
period
that.
of time.
Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. That was Craig.
I told you about it, and then Craig told you after, and you're like, Craig told me about this great show.
There's a high chance that
typically happens.
There's a very high possibility of that's what happened.
And I was like, ooh, you're finally watching the In-Betweeners. Ooh, friend. And you're like, what? You didn't tell me about this.
No.
Dumb whore. My friend Craig told me about this.
Oh, that's so great. But and then Arrested Development, obviously. I always tell, there's so many people that haven't seen Arrested Development, and I feel bad for them.
God, it holds up so well.
Not only does it hold up, it is more of a today type show.
Yes.
And in 2003, when it came out, it was so far ahead of its time. So far.
You can say the same for Mr. Show. It's crazy how far ahead of his time David Cross has always been.
Yeah.
It's almost a bummer that he didn't get the recognition he deserved at that time.
Yeah.
Both of those should have been huge. And he basically said with Mr. Show, people only started to hear about it as it was done.
Off air.
Yeah.
Yeah. That happens a lot when you have somebody that's like very talented.
Yeah.
You know, it's just because you're so far ahead of your time. It takes so you do it, and then it goes off air because everybody's like, oh, I don't know. But then other artists see it and replicate you, and then they do it. They become real famous. And then all of a sudden, when there's a giant group of people that like a certain type of art, they kind of like searching back and like, well, wait a minute. Who's this? What's this show? Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. And they don't realize it came before all those other shows that they watched. You know?
Mr. Show is like I think you should leave. Like, it's just ridiculous and awesome.
I think you should leave.
The sketch comedy show
with
on
Tim
Netflix.
Robinson?
Yeah, I think you should leave.
Yeah. Would you say I think it's I think you should leave?
Mr. Show is like a precursor to I think you should leave.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh, no, okay, I'm sorry. I got confused for a second because I thought you were like debating whether it came before that or not. I'm like, I know you know this.
Maddy.
Okay, I see what you're... Yeah.
How do decades go, Maddy?
You're 100% right. If you like I think you should leave, you know, go search 20 years prior to that and
You'll
you'd love
Mr. Show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, you made a good point there.
Ayo. Even a blind hog, etc.,
Yes.
etc., etc.
So like towards the middle of the episode when they started talking about Tom's Subway ad and his beef with the director, I got envious. This might sound weird. I got envious of Tom's anger. All right.
Oh.
Yeah, it's so controlled.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? He's had beef with this director.
Yeah.
He still has beef, but it didn't affect him. But he's still psycho enough to think about like, oh, I can't wait till he dies so I can send something to his funeral, right? Because an uncontrolled angry person forgets everything else and only focuses on being angry at that director and basically ruins their life because they're like just so focused on being angry.
Yeah.
And Tom is able to be angry, store it away on his angry shelf, start an empire, make a shit ton of money, and then go back to those shelves and be like, oh, here's this fuckhead. Yeah, I'm waiting for him to die
I'd love
so
to
I can
take over my net worth. I was dying laughing at that part.
Yes, it was so perfect the way he describes what he wanted to do to that guy.
It was beautiful.
How many years ago
David
was
Cross pumped it up so much. I love him saying like, I came to you with a linear idea and then you just added to it.
That's how sketch comedy works. Basically, they basically just showed it in that little bit. If you're paying attention, they showed in that little bit how sketch comedy works.
No, exactly.
One person has an idea, and then there's that other person that kind of has a different way of thinking about things. Basically punched it up, added some things, and boom, you have a sketch.
It's like a peek into the writer's room. Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I didn't think about how controlled his anger is, but
yeah,
right.
Well, his anger is controlled. His fascination with like weird stuff, it's all controlled. It's similar to like when they talk about Navy SEALs. I'm comparing Tom to a Navy SEAL. Yes, you have like certain really successful people in that type of work, like special forces and stuff, that can flick that switch and compartmentalize everything, and they live their entire life being a normal person, but with just bookshelves and stacks of just fucked up shit in their head that they've seen, that they want to see, that they like, and they're able just to, like a Dewey Decimal System, just put it right.
Let's put that away for later. Now's not the time.
I'll come back to that when I want, you know what I mean? When I want to fuck some guy up and I need something in my head, I'm going to pull that one out of there. And like, it's amazing to me how controlled that is.
So interesting.
And Tom's like that.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Thank you for agreeing with me.
It's hot.
I want to, speaking of hot, I always think of Bert and Tom, how they argue about when they ask people, who would you fall in love with? They ask in like they ask Adriana Chechik, I think, and they've asked other people because it's a weird way to ask it. They don't ask who's hotter. Yeah, because they don't care about it. They want to know who would you fall in love with. And I want to, next time we're downtown, I want to take 2 pictures of them, and I want you to interview like 6, 7, or 8 people and do like a little.
Excuse me, who do you think you'd be more likely to fall in love with? Yes, I love it. Yes, that's brilliant.
Who's your prediction for the winner?
Oh, that's really hard. I think it would depend on the night and the crowd.
That's what she said.
It kind of makes sense.
That makes sense.
Gangbang, got it. I'm biased in favor of Bert. Obviously, I feel like he's just so jovial. I don't know. It just kind of radiates fun. But I remember Adriana Chechik saying she's not in that phase. She's not looking for someone that drinks, that parties. Yeah. And I could see, Tom's got this debonair thing going on increasingly where he's more and more fit. He's taking care of himself. He's laser focused. Yeah. So it could easily be Tom.
Should I answer it as should I transform myself into a gay man and answer it, or should I answer it what I think a girl should do?
Okay. Well, first you're a bachelorette.
So what? Like if I was
out
a girl?
Partying. Yeah.
Well, no, that's kind of like if I was a gay man.
Yeah.
But I put myself into somebody that likes that other sex.
Yeah.
I'm saying like if I'm choosing for you or for another girl, like who I think they should fall in love with.
So I'm saying a gay man wants to fall in love with Tom and a party girl wants to fall in love with Bert. Where are you going with this?
No, yes, I think you're correct in that. What I was going with, I was just trying to do it from a perspective, from a dude's perspective, like a gay, like if I was a gay dude, who would I choose? Me.
We all want to know who you would choose.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Or I was going to do it as if I was thinking who a girl should choose.
Yeah.
And not a gay
Run with
me
it.
impression.
I want to hear both.
Okay. You want to hear both? I think a girl would pick Tom, because I think, like Adriana Chechik, you girls are materialistic, judgy, want somebody skinny, like all that. No, just kidding.
Erroneous. Literally none of those things are true.
I think most girls are homebodies, and I think the homebodiness of Tom would draw them in. Does that make sense?
You are gravely overgeneralizing what women want.
I don't know. Well, girls do go out, but I think when they, just an opinion, I think when they finally find their man or whatever, it's a lot of PJs in the bed with a glass of wine watching The Bachelor. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's like so comfortable and so fun to do. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't, and I guess it happens with everybody. You don't just go out and you're not in a club every week when you have a significant other,
I think you're underestimating the funness of Bert.
No, I'm not. No, Bert is super fun. If I was a gay dude, I think, I think Bert. I think a gay dude.
You think you'd just be looking for a traditional bear?
Probably, or more like, he's more like open, heartfelt, something. I think like maybe
heart on his sleeve.
Yeah, like that type of thing. But I think
girls can connect with that too.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe
they're both eminently lovable.
I think in the poll, if we did it on the street, I think you say you lean towards Bert, obviously, because he's kind of like a celebrity crush for you, in a cute way.
He's my type of guy.
Yeah,
but I do like a chunky man.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't say who I think would win because I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Bert makes people happier.
Yes, I think Bert makes people happier.
In a general sense.
Yeah.
They both make people laugh and everything like that. There's a different type of... they share fans, but there's a different type of fan that leans towards Bert, and there's a different type of fan that leans towards Tom.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the ones that just want to think about happiness and do all that are the ones that lean towards Bert. The one that wants to think about dead turtles and laughing at them lean towards Tom.
I love it. Well, I love them both. This was a fantastic episode of Two Bears, One Cave.
Mm-hmm.
More David Cross and everything.
Yes, he was awesome. What else was there? There was one more thing that they talked about towards the end. Oh, about Tom, about his fence and the contractors. That hit home with us. I know it hit home with me because we just did this audition, studio, all that kind of stuff. And
I loved hearing him say he went from just like outright anger to almost like acceptance.
Which is basically where we're at.
Which is basically where we're at, how long it takes. And he could hear their tone when they were like, oh, well, the thing is, and he just knew, like, let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's stuff there's stuff when you do construction projects like this or whatever, there's stuff that comes up and you're like, how the fuck did this? And the perfect example was today while we were setting up for this. We looked down at our floor, which is sitting on top of cement. somehow there's water coming up from underneath it.
And it's been redone. It was done incorrectly one time. So this is the second try of flooring on cement.
Okay, that's added onto the story.
Yeah.
That doesn't explain the mystery of how water comes up from the floor from cement. Only in this one area, too. It's not like it's all across. So, yeah, you run into things like that, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then the fact that it takes so long, and you
and
get to the
like
point
where 8 months later, they're still going on the fence. It was really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I knew that was going to hit for you.
Yeah. Oh, man. It just brought back demons. Is there, real quick before we go, I wanted to ask you, and I really couldn't think of one, so I don't know if you'll think of one. Is there a video or a story in your life that came across like the turtle video that is just like really like, oh, and like, oh?
Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that where it seemed to be sweet and wholesome and then just flipped completely. Yeah,
the only thing I can think of is is a 2 girls 1 cup video. Because it does start off kind of, you're like, oh, and then in like 8, 9, 10 seconds in the video, you're like, oh no, like that. So I think that would probably be the only thing that would come to mind for that.
Yeah, maybe Human Centipede. I've seen some things that lull you in
the
just
Human
little bit.
Yeah,
where you're just kind of like, oh, what's this?
Yeah,
what are we watching?
I'm sure there's some home birthing videos out there too. Like, oh, how cute. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
No, don't show me this.
I can't say I really, when our kids were born, I can't say I really looked down there too much outside of like.
They say don't look down there.
And I took that advice.
Yeah.
I took it. Yep.
Good.
I took it and I ran with it.
I'm glad to know.
I don't know. To me, there's no point of it. I mean, why would you look down there and see that mayhem?
Don't do it.
Yeah.
And I did it both ways, and I don't think either was.
No, I wasn't even in the room for the second one because it was an emergency.
No,
so,
yeah, you weren't.
All right.
Well,
good episode.
On that note,
that was a fun one. I'm looking forward to next week, waking up on Monday morning and seeing who the thing is. It was cool.
Samesies.
Yep. Oh, before we go, that's one last thing. We're filming this tonight, but by the time it comes out, Bert's special will be out for one day.
I know.
You have to watch Bert's special.
Yes.
Have to.
Watch Razzle Dazzle.
Please.
On Netflix. You will be so happy you did. It will make you happy. As Mr. Sykes said, Bert makes people happy.
Yes.
This special is pure gold.
Yes.
We saw it twice.
We saw it twice live.
And it got measurably better the second time.
Yeah. It was.
And we were lucky enough to go backstage and be like, Bert, like, that was so good. Like, you've perfected it.
Yeah. It was awesome. And my recommendation is you throw it on Netflix, get a dark room, get a cocktail, get a couple friends, and just sit back, laugh, and be happy. Take your mind off news, take your mind off everything, and you'll have a blast. So
Razzle dazzle, baby.
Definitely watch it. So by the time this airs, it'd probably been out for 24 hours, because we're filming this Monday night. We'll release this on Wednesday. And it comes out Tuesday.
Yeah.
Watch it, please. He's awesome. He deserves it. And have fun. We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys soon.
Peace.
Mr. Syke and Maddy, Mr. Syke.
All right, you just got to come up with a jingle. You got to make a jingle.
A full-fledged jingle.
Pay somebody. You know what? Put it on Instagram and have somebody make a jingle for you.
Perfection. Perfect, like a cat's birthday. All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.